Now, the World Health Organization has previously said that it recognizes traditional medicine in developing new COVID-19 treatments, but cautioned against a lack of evidence. This has encouraged Sefako Makgatho Health Sciences University to partner with M5 MediGroup, a group of traditional health practitioners, to test the safety and efficacy of a herbal product that will be presented as a potential alternative remedy for COVID-19 infections. To tell us more about this, we're joined by the M5 MediGroup Legal Director, Molatelo Mahapa. Molatelo, very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us on Newzroom Afrika. A lack of evidence, safety and efficacy, these have been really important factors to consider when it comes to COVID-19, curbing the symptoms. What's your take on this?
Good morning to you, and good morning to the viewers at home. Indeed, as MediGroup, M5 MediGroup, we saw it befitting that, before we can even, tell the world about the M5 medicine, we really need to make sure that the safety and efficacy of the product is actually tested. And we would be in a position to actually afford, our nation, the reports in terms of the safetiness of the product. That's why we collaborated with Sefako Makgatho Health Science University.
And looking at your collaboration, what exactly are you looking to achieve as you collaborate and try and move forward with this matter?
Okay, we have looked into the issue of, our patients, and further those that never believed in the traditional medicinal herbs initially. So another aspect was that we have realized that there are some solutions that are provided by traditional practitioners, but they are not recognized as they're supposed to, as opposed to, your Western medicines. So we felt it's high time that, the traditional medicine should be afforded an opportunity, because when we have pandemics like your coronavirus, they affect everyone. So it's quite imperative for all of us to put hands together and try to find solutions. So it doesn't matter whether, you believe in the Western or the traditional, but all that we can do is work together to find solutions. So it's quite critical that we afford all the necessary platforms, equal opportunity, so that we can have solutions to what we are facing today.
The World Health Organization has said that it does recognize traditional medicine in developing some sort of new COVID-19 treatment, but of course, cautioning against a lack of evidence. What are you doing as a group to make sure that you push for regulation with bodies like the WHO and other local authorities in South Africa?
That's why we actually collaborated with Sefako Makgatho, so that we can have, a conclusive scientific report that we can vouch for, even when we communicate with the WHO.
And what are these important traditional herbs and medicines and indigenous knowledge that you've acquired to bring about a product that can make sense and can help in some of the symptoms of COVID-19? I know that right at the beginning of COVID-19, we heard Health Minister Zweli Mkhize speaking about Artemisia species, speaking about how the herbal plant can assist, but not really putting it out there as a viable solution.
It's unfortunate that it's still quite premature for me to even disclose the types of herbs that have been put together by M5 MediGroup, merely on the basis that it still undergoes the testing processes and all that. But I'm requesting that we be afforded an opportunity to receive at least some preliminary results or some results from Sefako Makgatho. Then we'll be able to fully disclose in terms of the types of herbs that have been utilized in the
And Molatelo, how important do you think it is to recognize indigenous knowledge and be able to push for it as much as you're pushing to ensure that it is really up there with the other Western medication, especially when it comes to such a critical time where lives are being lost and infections are rising by the day?
May you kindly repeat the question? I've lost you for a second there.
Okay, sure. I was talking about the importance of indigenous knowledge and why you believe that it's something that needs to be put out there and have it recognized on the same scale as Western medicines when it comes to fighting pandemics such as the one that we're facing.
Yes, it's very critical for it to be recognized. Remember, even in other countries, when you look at Chinese, you have Chinese medicine and it's out there. You have Indians using their own indigenous, knowledge. But the African indigenous knowledge has never been, as I said, afforded the initial platform. And it's knowledge that was given to us as Africans, from our forefathers. And it's imperative that, we be afforded an opportunity as Africans to actually tell our story, and advise people in terms of our roots and where we come from. It's high time that that should happen now.
As you work through the processes and, the paperwork to make sure that evidence is indeed presented when it comes to your product, what exactly are you hoping to achieve with the product? Is it a cure or does it work with curbing symptoms? What exactly does it do?
Okay, if the efficacy is tested, it will be more of a treatment than a vaccine. So until we receive, obviously, reports, because we don't want to be misleading people, we rather give you a full report when we have received even the scientific, report from Sefako Makgatho. We'll be able to fully fleshed, or fully advise our people in terms of the extent that this medicine can work on the virus and how it can treat the symptoms, the extent of it.
And,
because as it is, we know that, for the patients that were administered this medication, of which are more than, 500, they have tested negative after, being administered the medication. Because the M5 MediGroup has started administering this medication to its own patients from as way as last year, March, who were COVID-19 positive. So it will be, great to actually advise when we have even the scientific, report on the medicine itself.
As the country waits for the implementation of the vaccine rollout and waits to get more doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, what sort of word of caution would you like to put out there as a group, especially looking at so many of the misinformation that's out there, the myths and misconceptions when it comes to the use of alternative medicine like traditional or herbal medicines?
What I can say is just that people should be very cautious of, those that can try to take advantage of the situation that we find ourselves in. So they should just make sure that, they have proof of what has happened in terms of, people taking certain medicines, And it's quite a challenging situation for all of us. So at times it becomes even difficult or even challenging for people to even prove some of these things. So yes, we must just be vigilant and yeah, and try to come up with solutions, for us to get back to where we used to be if possible.
Molatelo, you are very skeptical to point to some of the traditional herbs that are contained in your product. Is there a reason why you can't talk about what the product has in terms of the different types of herbal medicines?
Okay, remember there are processes that needs to be followed, when we deal with such medicine. For instance, when M5 MediGroup started administering and started getting feedbacks from their own patients, they were not like testing the medication, but they were administering the medication to their own patients because they are registered and they are licensed to give herbs to their own, patients. And after realizing that, they came to me as a legal practitioner to come and assist in terms of protecting the product. So we are not as yet in a position to disclose the ingredients. As I say, the process is still premature to can disclose. Hence, I was talking about protecting the product. Legally we call it patenting. We've done that, but because there are still tests that are going on, it's still premature to know about the ingredients. Hence, even the vaccine, remember when we were told that, the vaccine is being tested, we were not even told what was in the vaccine itself. So it's how the process should unfold until the relevant time when, the content of the medicine can be disclosed.
Very well. Thank you so much for your time. M5 MediGroup Legal Director Molatelo Mahapa speaking there about the role of traditional medicines when it comes to the fight against COVID-19 and the processes that are taking place behind the scenes to make sure that evidence is there and the efficacy can be tested so that this product is ready to make a difference when it comes to the fight against COVID-19.